Well, hi, everybody. If we haven't met, my name is Brian Cashman, and I work with high schools in Southeast Minnesota to support career and tech education. And we're here today with Claudia Hicks as part of the Bluff Country Collaborative Ambassador Program, which is a mentorship program for students, again, in this part of the state. And I'm just so excited that you're here with us this morning, Claudia, and that you've taken some time to do this interview. So thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me.
And I've already shared your name, Claudia Hicks, but would you mind just introducing yourself, name, what your current role is, your occupation, and then we can get started.
Absolutely. So I'm Claudia Hicks. I'm the hospitality manager at Mayo Clinic Health System Event Center in Mankato, Minnesota. So what that means is I help to support specifically non-ticketed events in our facility. We're a multi-purpose athletic facility. So we host Division I hockey, Minnesota State Mavericks hockey teams. Both the men's and women's teams are located in our facility, but we also have a convention center. We do concerts of various sizes, but my primary focus is on that convention center, selling the space for weddings, conferences, meetings, things of that nature. Beyond that, though, I do help to support our ticketed side, especially when it comes to food and beverage, security, technology, and operations.
So you have a full plate.
I have a full plate, yeah.
So how long have you been doing this?
So I've only been in this specific position for about 6 months, but I have been at the event center for going on 5 years now. I actually started in a part-time role. My husband got a job in Mankato, Minnesota. We're both from Illinois, and I left a full-time job and needed to figure out what I was going to do. And what you may see at some point in your careers is there were no full-time positions available. I was very fortunate to be able to take a part-time position though, and figure out what exactly I was interested in. And I really liked this facility. So I started as a part-time event facilitator, being that person who greets the client when they get in, helps them load in, set up their technology, and then just kind of deal with whatever questions or issues pop up during the event, to kind of take that stress off of the full-time staff. And then from there, about 9 months later, I was hired as an event sales assistant. And then I moved up to a coordinator position, where I got to take a lot more ownership over the sales side. And then the pandemic changed the whole world. In a lot of ways, we were really fortunate to be able to keep a lot of staff busy during that time when events weren't occurring. But it included a restructure, and I got the opportunity to take on more, a larger role within the organization, and support more of my coworkers in the food and beverage operations and tech side.
Well, for those watching this interview, Claudia and I work in a different kind of a different space outside of this ambassador program space, and she is very good at what she does. And so it's not surprising, Claudia, that you've kind of worked your way up at Mankato there. And so you shared a little bit of your story. You're originally from Illinois, and you ended up in Mankato, and how you got to your current role. Are there other pieces to your story, either growing up, high school, college, and that help kind of propel you to where you are today?
Absolutely. So when I was preparing to go to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly, but I was an active member in student council, and our student council did the usual student council type things. We had, president system, and we would do volunteering, and we would do various activities to support, campus or the high school. But we planned homecoming every year, and we supported prom, and we also sold concessions at all at every sporting event. So volleyball, basketball, football, every event, boys and girls, we sold concessions. And so there's a lot of opportunity to learn about that kind of side, the concession side, but also the event planning side. And I loved it. I loved all of it. There was a lot of leadership training. It was just so fun. And so I said, I want to just do student council forever. How could I do that? I was very fortunate. I got very lucky to reach out to an academic advisor at the university I wanted to go to and say, this is kind of what I'm interested in. What degree do you get for this? And I very fortunately was sent to the recreation department. She knew the department well. It's typically a tiny department in most colleges and universities because not that many students go into it. But it was a bunch of people like me who wanted to be involved with events and who are a little twisted because we like to work when other people are playing. So that's how I started kind of a more professional route into this field. And I was in the Recreation, Sport, and Tourism department at the University of Illinois, and focused on recreation, got a lot of experience, ended up working in the concessions department at our basketball arena. So I got to keep popcorn in my life from high school into college and loved that, loved all of the inner workings of the teamwork aspect. If you've worked in a food industry type area, you know how much it's the team. No one person can do it. Everybody has to be involved. And I loved that aspect. And from there, I got an opportunity I worked in the premium seating area of our football stadium, Division I football, big deal. My job was to open a single door. I opened the door for guests and I closed the door for guests. But during that time, I learned a lot about the space. I learned a lot about the staff and really liked it. So I ended up getting an internship there during college and wanted to continue down that path. So that's how that kind of propelled me. And that was more on the event facilitation side. So that was the first time that I was working within a facility. I wasn't planning the event. I was helping somebody else put their event on. And so that was the first time I got to understand the difference between those two things. Then my first full-time job was as an event planner. I worked in a park district and I've booked more balloon artists than you would ever know. And I loved that. But when we moved to Mankato after that job, I started here at the event center, then called the Verizon Center, and got to do the facilitation side of it again and realized that that's really what I love to do, is to help other people to make their dreams come to reality rather than being the person who's, choosing the theme and picking the decor and inviting the guests. That side is interesting, but isn't really my passion. I more so enjoy helping to make somebody else's kind of vision come to life.
Yeah. So you think back to your high school self and you mentioned student council and wanting to do that for the rest of your life. Would you answer that question, yes, you have kind of landed where your high school self wanted to land?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of that because the one big qualifier of my career now, and it's part of what I'm so passionate about, is I work for the city of Mankato. I'm a city employee. My job is funded by tax dollars. And what that means is I am beholden to the community to do what's best for the community. And I love that part of my job. I don't know if I could be as passionate about this if it was just about making money. Rather, when we book events, we consider what the economic impact of that event might be. So it's still money, but it's not money to me. It's money for the community. It's how many people are going to get to see our community and have a great experience or spend money in our restaurants or our shops or our hotels. It's more of a global minded perspective for our community that I love. And I think that has been like one of the strong strands back to that student council time is it's thinking on behalf of a group, not just on the self or the business, which I love.
Yeah. Wow. So much wisdom in that. Thank you for sharing that. If you could speak to today's high school students, maybe especially juniors and seniors, as they look ahead to whether it's college or work or career, would you have any advice for them? Maybe one or two pieces of advice for today's high school students?
Yeah, I think that high school is a great opportunity to start to learn what you like and don't like. And I think that there's a lot of power in learning what you don't like. If you join something or you take a job or you volunteer and there's things that are good and things that are bad, I think that's a great thing to see and to kind of start to catalog it. Like, oh, I really like working with kids, but I don't like all the red tape and all the rules involved, or I really like, helping to decorate this thing, but I didn't like the way that they made me do it, or whatever it is. I think there's always something that you can take that's a good and a bad, and just to try to collect those as you go. I think that helps to give you kind of an arsenal of direction because you have an idea of what's going on. Some people love to work with clients. Some people really don't want to have to talk to the public or to customers in their job. And knowing those things about yourself, not judging yourself, but just recognizing, where am I at? What are my preferences? What am I good at? What fills my cup? The sooner I think you can start to recognize those things, I think the more successful you can be, and earlier.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. So I guess I'd like to ask you a question that's a little bit not off the record, but I hadn't previewed this with you. So you're at the event center. You've done, well, going back to the University of Illinois, you've done many events, concerts, athletic games, etc. Do you have a favorite?
Oh, I have
Most memorable?
So I remember the concert when I was working at the basketball arena that made me say, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And it's kind of gross that this is my favorite one, but it was a huge country concert. And at the end of the night, I remember the building was trashed. I mean, there was stuff, liquid, it was trashed. The building was trashed. But I had seen how much community had been created at that event. I think musical events in particular musical events and sporting events have such a way of building community amongst large groups of strangers. And I was like, I just want to do this forever. And I remember telling someone that, who was like working with me, and she was like, you're an idiot. Like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, like, this is awesome. Wow. So I still have that like distinct memory. But now I have to say, I love the glitzy holiday parties, the conferences that kind of go the extra step with, like, whether it's their decor or their tech. I always think that's so fun because a lot of guests aren't expecting it necessarily. They're thinking, oh, I'm gonna go to Mankato to like some event, it'll be fine. And then they walk in and they're blown away. And I love that juxtaposition and just how beautiful we can make our facility and our events look. So those are among my favorites.
Well, and if folks watching this interview have not been to Mankato or the Mankato area, it is a beautiful part of the state, and the city of Mankato is just an outstanding city. And so thank you for sharing about that. And thanks for your time this morning, Claudia. You have just such a fascinating story. It's clear that you're passionate about what you do. You enjoy what you do. You're very good at what you do. And I think that offers a lot of hope, I think, to the high school students that are watching this, especially if they're interested kind of what you're interested in. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.